removing. And then it's a calculation, and then thus comes up with this amount that you have to replace. But what the Environmental Commission really wanted to do was to try and promote the preservation of our, again, our specimen trees, these really large, healthy trees. And so they put into the calculation a credit. So you go through this whole calculation, but then if you have preserved 2 large trees, you get a credit for that. So it really tries to encourage development around those large trees. And that's something that I think this tree ordinance has done in the past and will continue to do and improve upon, is that when a developer comes in, they don't just want to clear cut the entire site. They want to develop around, you know, the natural resources that are there. We took a look at the diseased and hazardous trees. In the past, we really didn't have any language on hazardous trees and how to deal with that, so we added some language there. We had minimal language on our diseased trees, so we beefed that up a bit with additional language to the diseases that are out there now affecting our trees. Licensing. In the past, we had kind of lumped the tree service companies under our landscaping for licensing requirements. So now what we have done, this is a big change, and we're kind of mirroring it after something the City of St. Paul has done, is all licensed tree service companies must employ an individual who possesses arborist certification. And the reason for that is we had a lot of companies, you know, door knocking and trying to sell, you know, something for like emerald ash borer or, you know, treatments, something to that effect. So we want to make sure that our residents and businesses are protected by these companies having someone that's really qualified to make these recommendations. And then finally, over the years, since we started working with the Environmental Commission on revamping many of our ordinances, we redid the wetland ordinance, 2006 we did the tree ordinance, stormwater ordinance, et cetera, et cetera. Over time, those chapters have kind of changed positions. Many of them are in our building chapter, many are in you know, the environment chapter. So what we're going to do with this tree ordinance is finally bring all those together under one roof, under an environment chapter. So it'll be much easier and clearer for people to find things and to read. So the next steps here, if you're comfortable, would be the possibility of a first reading November 23rd, and of course we have to have the second reading, which would be December 14th, and we can come up with more detailed information. Again, in the essence of time, I knew I only had a small amount of time to present this, but I see we have some time for some questions, so I'd be happy to answer some. And as well, Dale Tripler, the chair of the Environmental Commission, is here, and Steve Love, also helped on this ordinance, and of course Nick Carver. So okay, we're here for questions.
Councilmember Juneman.
Actually, it's not a question, it's a comment and a compliment for all of you who put in hours. I think the Environmental Commission, if we brought them the tree ordinance one more time, they might all resign in one body, because they have treed beyond patience. But I really think this last thing you've done is wonderful, and this last piece you talked about, putting it all under an environmental ordinance, because otherwise it gets piecemealed out. It's hard for applicants who are doing a development to know where to go, and then sometimes what that leads to is a cop-out, I didn't know, and it gets broken, but it didn't need to be. And I just think, and I have to say, if you're not familiar with this, that I have called Sean for many years, and now this really proves that she's the queen of ordinances, might I say, when it comes to redoing the environmental pieces. She's redone all of these, worked really hard on this, and this one, I'm sure she has nightmares because it's been so long in the doing. But this last reiteration is fabulous, I think. And I think the Environmental Commission all deserve patience awards for having to go through it yet again. But I think we have a really good product that helps us. We don't want to scare away developers, and we don't want to discourage even remodeling, but we also don't want to destroy trees that take forever to grow and have a lot of benefits. You know, it's about air quality, it's about, you know, it actually helps with stormwater retention as far as, you know, those big root balls hold a lot of water. And so it's a lot of pieces. And so for everybody who participated, from engineering and the stormwater piece to the environmental people to